Weather overview: a huge storm is approaching the United States today and tomorrow, bringing a significant risk of severe weather. This includes numerous to widespread damaging winds, large hail, and several tornadoes, potentially even a few strong tornadoes. In addition to that, we are tracking a large area of snow expected to fall across the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast over the next 48 hours. Some areas could accumulate over a foot of snow. In today's forecast, we'll break down everything you need to know about the weather impacting the United States in the coming days. We'll start with what's happening across the country right now. Currently, a large and potent trough is forming over the Central Plains, bringing in a surge of moisture across the lower Mississippi River Valley and into the Ohio Valley. Unfortunately, over the next several hours, we're not only facing the threat of severe weather, but also a significant flooding risk across Kentucky, Tennessee, and Arkansas. Heavy rainfall over the next 12 hours could lead to major flooding, and we'll discuss that more in a moment. Meanwhile, in the Southeast, conditions remain quiet today, and the West Coast has finally cleared out from the recent atmospheric river event. However, a powerful storm is now developing in the Great Plains, set to bring widespread disruptions. Severe weather. Today, detailed breakdown: the Storm Prediction Center has expanded the enhanced risk for severe weather across much of the Deep South. This includes Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, western Alabama, and even a portion of the Florida Panhandle. Additionally, a rare marginal risk extends as far north as Kentucky and includes parts of Georgia and Texas. Main threats. Today, damaging winds. The greatest concern today is widespread damaging winds, which are expected to be numerous. A line of thunderstorms will likely cause strong winds, along with tornadoes. If confidence increases, the Storm Prediction Center may even issue a moderate risk for damaging winds. Regardless, the wind threat remains significant, so secure loose objects like trampolines and lawn furniture. Hail threat. The risk of large hail today is relatively low. The greatest chance for hail will be where storms initiate, particularly in Arkansas, western Mississippi, and northern Louisiana. Tornado risk. The tornado threat has expanded further south now, including southern Alabama and Mississippi. It also extends through Memphis, southwestern Tennessee, eastern Louisiana, and southeastern Arkansas. If conditions warrant, this risk may be adjusted further north and east in later updates. Regardless of the exact tornado outlook, anyone in the green, brown, or yellow areas should be prepared, as several tornadoes are expected today, whether from the main line of storms or from discrete supercells forming ahead of the line. We will be going live on this channel today to track the storms. Make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on by clicking the bell icon so you'll be alerted when we go live. Tornado risk increasing. Today's tornado risk continues to rise across the Deep South and Tennessee Valley. The environment is highly favorable for tornadoes due to strong wind shear, high instability. There are two different modes of severe weather at play: a developing line of storms expected to form by early to mid-afternoon across western Tennessee, southeastern Arkansas, and Texas. This line will primarily pose a damaging wind threat, but could also produce embedded tornadoes. A conditional strong tornado risk if discrete supercells form ahead of the main line. If any of these storms mature, they could produce strong tornadoes. While this is not a certainty, it remains a critical factor to monitor throughout the afternoon and evening. As the storm system continues tracking eastward, damaging wind and tornado threats will persist into the evening and overnight hours. By around 10 p.m., the storm line will still be capable of producing strong winds and isolated tornadoes. If storms develop along the Gulf Coast and move inland into southern Mississippi or Alabama, an increased risk of strong tornadoes could emerge in the late evening and overnight. And this threat doesn't end there. Damaging wind and isolated tornado risks will extend into southern Georgia and beyond as the storm system moves eastward. Stay weather aware, and we'll continue to provide live updates as conditions develop. Through the Florida Panhandle into Sunday morning, The storm will continue moving through parts of Florida, reaching Sunday afternoon. There could still be a very isolated tornado risk even in central Florida. I wouldn't rule out the possibility of storms affecting parts of North Carolina as well. This is a day when you should definitely have multiple ways to receive alerts and a tornado action plan in place. Additionally, if you're anywhere near the Gulf Coast, given the nocturnal tornado threat, make sure you have several ways to receive alerts. Let's go through the timing, starting with what's happening this morning. There's already a lot of rain falling, as I mentioned at the beginning of this forecast. A significant flooding threat is developing, and it's no exaggeration. A ton of rain will be training across areas like Arkansas, Kentucky, and Tennessee this morning and into the early afternoon. Pay attention to how much rain is falling in Kentucky and Arkansas. It's going to be a long day with both severe weather and a significant flooding threat. As we approach 1 to 2 p.m., storms will start firing up in Arkansas and northern Louisiana. By 4 to 5 p.m., that's when this line of storms will really start to organize, especially in Kentucky, where damaging winds will become a major factor across several states, along with some embedded tornadoes. We're also monitoring the conditional risk for discrete supercells that may fire up ahead of the main line of thunderstorms in the mid to late afternoon. This depends on having enough forcing. If that occurs, there's a chance for a couple of isolated strong tornadoes, possibly reaching as far north as central Tennessee. While there's no hatch risk for central Tennessee at the moment, I believe this could be added later if the confidence in a discrete cell forming there grows. By around 9 to 10 p.m., the line of storms will be moving through Nashville, central and southern Kentucky, eastern Mississippi, and eventually into northwest Alabama. The storms will continue tracking across eastern Tennessee and eastern Kentucky into the overnight hours, reaching areas like Pikeville, Kentucky, Knoxville, Tennessee, and central Alabama. By Sunday morning, around sunrise, the line will continue eastward, weakening as it moves into Virginia and North Carolina. However, there could still be isolated damaging winds and a slight tornado risk in far western South Carolina and Georgia. The tornado risk in North and South Carolina, as well as Virginia, will be very low by Sunday afternoon because the storm line will be fizzling out. In the southeast, storms will start firing up around 4 to 6 p.m., particularly in Texas and Louisiana. This will begin as a modest line of thunderstorms with isolated to scattered damaging winds. But as the storms merge into a stronger line by 9 to 10 p.m., the risk for significant damaging winds will ramp up, especially in southern Mississippi and eastern Louisiana. There's a concern that if storms come out of the Gulf, a strong tornado risk could evolve near the Gulf Coast. Even if that doesn't happen, we're still looking at a line of storms with the potential for isolated strong tornadoes embedded within it. By 3 a.m. to 4 a.m., this line will continue tracking across central Georgia and the Florida Panhandle. By Sunday morning, the line will approach the east coast of Georgia and northern Florida. It's important to note that as we head into Sunday afternoon, the Daytona 500 will be taking place. This weekend, showers and thunderstorms will disrupt the Daytona 500 race Sunday afternoon. As the storm moves south, it will gradually die out by evening. The main concern for most of Florida will be damaging winds with the possibility of a brief tornado in central or northern Florida. The tornado threat is heightened in the Florida Panhandle. Winter storm today and tomorrow. In addition to the severe weather, we're expecting significant snowfall in the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast today. Michigan and the Northeast will see the heaviest snow. Tonight, freezing rain and sleet will fall along a narrow corridor from eastern Missouri to Long Island. By Sunday morning, the heaviest snow will be in eastern Michigan, Ohio, and possibly Kentucky, with an isolated risk for severe weather. This storm is a double threat with both snow and severe weather. Northern New England will see rapidly accumulating snow. As Sunday afternoon approaches, lake effect snow in the Ohio Valley and heavy snow in New England will be the only remnants of this disturbance, which will wind down into early Monday. Snowfall totals between now and Sunday night include 2 to 4 inches in the Midwest and Michigan, with the heaviest snow expected just north of Detroit in the thumb of Michigan and northern Ohio. Northern New England could receive 8 to 12 inches of snow with up to 18 inches near Lake Ontario and northern Maine. Ice accumulation will also be a concern, with up to 1/10 of an inch expected in many areas and up to 1/4 of an inch possible in northern Pennsylvania. Travelers should be cautious and take it slow on the roads. High risk of flooding. This storm also brings a significant flooding risk. The Weather Prediction Center has issued a high risk for excessive rainfall in central western Kentucky and northwestern Tennessee, with a moderate risk extending into southern Ohio and Arkansas. If you're traveling in low-lying areas, seek higher ground, as flooding is likely in these regions. The rainfall forecast through Monday morning calls for 3 to 5 inches of rain in Kentucky and Tennessee, with some isolated areas receiving up to 8 inches of rain today. Be especially cautious in western Kentucky and northwestern Tennessee. Other areas will also experience heavy rain, which could lead to flooding in regions unable to handle it, particularly low-lying areas. Today will be a dangerous day due to the combination of severe weather and flooding risks. Stay tuned to live coverage and make sure you're subscribed with the bell icon to receive notifications when we go live. Huge Arctic blast this week. Beyond this weekend, we're expecting a major Arctic blast this week, bringing some of the coldest temperatures we've seen in years across the United States. Many areas in the Great Plains will experience temperatures 40 to 50 degrees below average from Tuesday through Thursday, and the cold will spread east by Friday and Saturday. For more details, check out yesterday's video or stay tuned for tomorrow's forecast. Additionally, a winter storm is expected next week. Snow will impact Missouri and Arkansas, with possible severe weather near the Gulf Coast. The main event will likely occur late Wednesday and Thursday, bringing heavy snow to the mid-Atlantic and potentially a nor'easter in New England by early Friday morning. We'll continue to monitor this and update you in tomorrow's video. Make sure you're subscribed and click the bell icon to stay up to date with the latest information.